don't come home.
Captain Logan, welcome back to the land of the living. We had almost given up hope that you would ever wake up. You should really lay off the Mountain Dew. If you don't take care of yourself, all sorts of unexpected misfortunes can befall you.
Doomsvents, I was just with you, and you were spraying me with Coke.
I can only imagine where your subconscious has been all these months.
What are you doing in my house?
It's not exactly your house anymore, Captain Logan. But I'll explain that all over breakfast. After which you'll be on your merry little way.
Where is my wife? Where is Jason?
Rise and shine, Captain Logan. You have a brand new year ahead of you.
You did it. You married Doomsvents.
I know this is a lot to take in, but...
But I'm brilliant, and your wife has discovered that she has excellent taste in men. Fortunately, your long period of sugar-induced unconsciousness provided her with the perspective that she needed to see it.
I don't believe this.
What more proof do you need?
How long?
What?
How long was I out before you decided to get married to the clone I had made of my best friend?
Couple months?
It was a fast but smooth transition. Doomsvents is the epitome of efficiency, even in matters of the domestic variety.
I couldn't help myself. Doomsvents is great.
At
For
everything. She knows.
You've got some sorta mind control device, don't you?
I don't need a mind control device when I have such an exquisitely genius mind. The long and the short of it is, I'm your intellectual superior. In every way. I could have made you rich, beyond your wildest dreams. Instead, you let your petty, childish love of lowbrow entertainment rule your heart and mind, and you threw me out on the street without another thought. And when you ever so conveniently took yourself out of commission with one of your many embarrassing addictions, I moved in and gave your family everything they ever wanted. Geekvolution, now Doomsvolution, is a multi-million subscriber channel. Cooking with Doomsvents is a cable television sensation. I have not only outclassed you in every endeavor you have ever held, but I've elevated the culture at large. I review opera, poetry, modern art, fine cuisine. I have turned your audience away from that trite minutiae you once critiqued with that loquacious mock sophistication and increased my audience 100-fold. Superhero Rewind is a thing of the past, and no one talks about it or you any longer.
That's what this was always about. You were jealous of my success.
I was created to make you better, and I would have done that had you treated me like an independent thinking individual and not some programmed automaton.
I know. I had a few revelations while I was under. I was horrible to you, Doomsvents. And for that, I am truly sorry. But I am not going to let you take my family away from me.
They're already mine. Your wife now wants for nothing, and your son's college education is all but paid for.
Jason.
Come on in here, son.
Oh my god. Jason?
It's Doomsday.
Let's face it, Captain Logan. The better man won. The creation has surpassed the creator. I thank you for giving me life, but I've now rendered you obsolete. What was yours is now mine. And unlike you, I sincerely hope that my progeny will surpass even my extraordinary accomplishments.
Sarah.
No, he's right. We've outgrown you. I told you not to wake up.
You know what they say, you snooze, you lose.
So, it's come to this now, has it?
This can't be real.
You still think you're in a dream? You may think this all seems like a nightmare, but it's one of your own making.
My own making. What did you do with my comics?
Sold all that direct to build startup capital to improve your pitiful excuse for business. Captain Logan, this is unbecoming. Why can't you simply accept your defeat gracefully and move on?
Why would Tiny Adam West groom me for a fight he knew I couldn't win, and then pit me up against the Coke Redeemer a day before my last entry?
I think you need professional help. I'd be happy to make some calls.
You know what I'm talking about. It was you the entire time. You did everything you could to make me miss an entry. You even made me think I'd killed you so that I'd fall into a fit of remorse and give up. You know, every time something didn't work, you had a contingency plan. There was always some way to make me more confused or distracted or to drive me bonkers.
I wish I could take credit for that scheme. Clearly the part about driving you bonkers worked swimmingly.
When I was in that alleyway, you pretended you were dead. But you were here the whole time. I mean, it was all you. All leading to this moment. You hoped one of those random elements would drive me to lose my nerve. But Tiny Adam West, he was the trump card. A huge, elaborate setup, all designed as a last-ditch effort in case everything else failed. Captain Cog trying to convince me I'd wake up if I stopped reviewing. Freakadoo trying to turn me into as much of a maniac as he was. And the Spawn transformation, designed to make me terrified I was turning into a thing that had come to represent everything I didn't want to be. If all that training and fighting and finally dying could make me think even for a moment that that terrible existence was over, and that this place was real, you'd have won. I'd have skipped that final comic. And after all of those days and weeks and months, after almost an entire year of Spawn reviews, you'd have buried me alive in a grave. Just like you said you would on day one.
Let me get this straight. You believe that you're still in a coma and that somehow I'm responsible, not the Mountain Dew. Still blaming me for your failures.
I don't know how he did it, but yeah, I think Doomsvince, the real Doomsvince, is responsible for all of this. It's like some kind of computer program, designed to have you do and say everything the real Doomsvince would were he here, based on my actions and choices. The rules never changed, even when the set dressing and characters did. You once told me that it would always be possible for me to review on time. And that means it's still possible now.
So you believe that in order to escape this topsy-turvy reality that you believe you're in, you have to review a comic book?
Yeah. In fact, I'd bet my life on it. Where's my car?
It's in the garage.
I want my keys. This is my house. It's still my car.
Your wife signed everything over to me when we married.
I wasn't dead! And I can prove it! You can't do that!
Maybe not, but you're not really concerned with that right now, are you? You don't have time to get your personal effects in order before the day is out. I have no intention of helping you.
I don't need you! I've been sitting in one place for most of the year anyway. I could use the exercise!
You know what they say about revenge and the cold? To my recollection, something to do with a dish.
You may be asking yourself, why would Doom's Vince, the master of all doom, eat hamburgers? Delicious. And they're made of burger. For the meat preparation, you will have the following ingredients. Meat. Egg white, because it moistens the lean meat. The following spices are necessary. Paprika, cayenne pepper, garlic, black pepper, and salt. You can either mix it.
Todd McFarlane isn't a writer, even after 20 years and a great deal of practice. He never managed to turn Al Simmons into a fully realized character, and after 16 years of getting absolutely nowhere with him, despite countless reinventions and supposed new directions and plot devices to excuse Al's inconsistent behavior and general unlikability, he decided to start all over with a new character, but unfortunately for me, not a new continuity. And 4 years later, Jim Downing is in exactly the same boat. Yes, with all the publication delays and maddeningly decompressed storytelling, kids have entered and graduated from high school in the time it's taken McFarlane and Carlton to wake Jim from a coma, make him a celebrity, see him kill and torture people and creatures for answers about his past, bring back Malbolgia, and only in the last 4 issues explain who he was before the coma and why the Spawn symbiote chose him, neither of which seems to remotely fit with the other yet. Jim Downing is another two-dimensional, horrible human being. Like Al, I know why he hurt people, but I don't know how he became capable of such callous disregard for human life in the first place. He doesn't yet have Al's bred over generations for evil excuse. Issue 220 opens with a long and almost completely superfluous inner monologue that's only useful if you're new to the book and need a recap, and as usual backtracks and reworks stuff, so if you know what's going on, you have to adjust what you've been told before. McFarlane isn't just revising history from before 187, he's retconning stuff all the way up. And if I seem less than surprised, that's because I've grown accustomed to trust nothing I'm ever told in this book, so I can't be disappointed when things I actually like don't count anymore. We're told Jim did unconscionable things when he was director of the project, because he was obsessed with perfection. Really? Project Ragnarok? Nobody is terrified to work for Project Ragnarok? I still have no idea why he became so fixated on the notion of genetic superiority, but more to the point, how does Jim suddenly know this? He pretty clearly knew no more about his past after I got to see a lot of it in 216, and nothing Malbolgia told him about his soul being an angel that tried to kill God jogged his memories. But now, just because this is the 20th anniversary special, and McFarlane's writing a whole tribute and callback to the first issue, Jim is suddenly having random flashes to his old life, like Al did. If Jim's gonna finally start remembering stuff for no reason, couldn't we have had this from the beginning, so we didn't have to read about a blank slate for 30 issues? Alright, so maybe his fight with Bolgi did somehow jog his memories, but why is he only remembering his life as the director then, and not as the rebel spirit who went on a one-man war against the Almighty himself? And sure, there could be reasonable explanations for all of this, but this issue doesn't follow the events of last issue at all. Almost nothing about the revelations we got during the Bolgi fight are mentioned here. So all that stuff about the Spawn suit trying to get into heaven and control the universe feels like a giant tease that might not be paid off for another 4 years. It's hard to tell if McFarlane wants to make us wait on that stuff, or if it's yet another case of his not liking what the last writer did and moving away from it. He's keeping Kradansky on board after this, but taking back the writing duties from Carlton. Now that I may finally have served my sentence of Spawn review hell, I may skim issue 250 when it comes out, just to see if I'm even a little lost skipping 30 issues. I really doubt I will be. So now Jim killed his girlfriend in the past because she betrayed him, and not for information Wynn insisted he obtain, which is not at all what Carlton led me to believe, and his main motivation now is keeping Mark, Susan, and Sarah safe, worrying that they're in danger while Hell, Heaven, and other factions are all after him. If you've never read this comic before now, Jim is a misguided government science director trying to piece together and make up for his sordid past. But if you're me, he's a delusional maniac who's telling himself anything to feel better about himself. So what actually happens in this issue? Well, Jim holds another press conference and announces he's going to rebuild Rat City with his new foundation, I'd imagine in order to control the Dead Zone. And somehow, Cagliostro is back. And that's it. 2 pages of story. The rest is Jim rambling to himself about how horrible he is for teleporting with Sarah through the hopscotch shadows and trying to understand his past. And that's all to take us back to Nostalgiaville, to revisit all those iconic images and layouts of a comic that had so many printings it'd be as cheap to wrap your Christmas presents in as buying wrapping paper. You could just reread that issue, but McFarlane wants to celebrate one of the only really solid and well-executed Spawn comics by wasting a whole issue ripping himself off. So we're treated to pages on end of Spawn being confused, news anchors telling us things we can infer reading the story, a full-page spread you have to turn sideways to read, and one token fight so it feels like something's happening. And sadly, no bubbles. This whole series would have been more bearable if only there had been more bubbles. In the back, there's a long interview with McFarlane about choices he made in the first issue, and it feels awkwardly like the book spent the whole last 20 years trying to live up to that comic, but that all McFarlane ever had was a concept and no direction. This issue is, I think, a testament to that. There's also a timeline of events in the publication, and it's like all of Spawn eras flashing before my eyes. There have been wonderful, haunting, and chilling comics throughout my arduous journey, and some of them were McFarlane's. 5, 29, 39, and some of the most eye-popping, provocative, truly unique and special artwork I've seen in a comic book. Krudansky draws a worthy and reverential tribute to McFarlane's original work here. McFarlane's relationship with his own creation could have been so much more if he'd only let Spawn develop naturally and to be himself.
Show me your hands!
Just working late, officer.
With a shattered window?
I lost my keys and this paperwork is really important.
Put the pen down and come around.
Drop the pen and show me your hands.
Stocky Frank Miller Batman?
Are you high or something?
Or something.
Put the pen down and come around.
Just let me finish this last sentence.
No, just put the pen down. Turn around. Come out here. Get on your knees. Don't look at me. What the hell are you?
Watch your language, officer. I am sick to death of that word. Signed, for the very last time, Captain Spawn.
Ah!